Welcome to the Know Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Fippo Basania, and today's guest is Rosie Mercado. Rosie is a model, fashion designer, and life coach. She's been on National Geographic's Taboo and regularly on the Dr. Phil show and The Doctors. She's now recently co-hosting on a new show on CBS called Face the Truth. She regularly shares her message of embracing your authentic beauty across the world. We'll be releasing her memoir, so we get an insight on her weight loss journey and the changes she's made mentally and physically. So thank you so much for finally being here.
Oh my God, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know, it's always great to connect with thought leaders that are really creating a place where, you know, we could come together and create impact and get that message out, because there's such a huge need. In a world that's filled with so much negativity, it's great always. And I think it's fulfilling and a place of, uplifting spirit to be able to just bring a message of, you know what, things are going to happen in life, but you're going to get past it. The revelation will come later. And I think also a message to embrace who you are. Perfection doesn't exist, but you know, that you are uniquely made, and that you have you have a purpose in life, and not to give up. And there's going to be obstacles, because that's where our growth is. So to be able to share a platform with you, and just to be able to really, you know, I think the goal is to inspire and create momentum and just create change in people.
That's exactly it. And you're definitely on your path to doing that for millions of people across the world. That's why I wanted to get you on, and I'm excited to have this conversation. So let me start by asking you this very basic question. What does it mean to you to be a woman?
What does it mean to be a woman? I think for me, it means to be a human being, not a human doing, to be powerful, to step into my femininity, to step into my authenticity, to step into what God's created me to be, to step into my passion and my vision, to be a woman of strength and of drive, and most of all, service and compassion. I think compassion is a very big word for me at this point in my life. And I think that is really what's transformed my life, to be able to understand the people that I work with, the people that I love helping, and to be also a lifestyle coach, to be able to pay it forward and just really sit back instead of, okay, I've got the answers. I understand where you're going. I understand the frustration, the feeling, and I understand what needs to happen. But to understand, to meet someone exactly what at the place where they're feeling, whether it's vulnerability, anger, frustration, sadness, excitement, to be able to meet someone. So compassion for me is big part of being a woman.
Yeah, all of those things I think are important for people to take away, because a lot of them can lack in the way that we live our lives. We can easily forget it when we're facing, I guess, a sense of crisis in our identity. And that tends to happen when we're facing some sort of hardship. We attach ourselves to it, and then we think, oh, okay, maybe I'm not worth anything, or, you know, victim mentality almost. And so, go on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I think that happens so much. I think you hit such a great point. We attach ourselves to the outcome of a situation, and then it becomes our story, and then our story dictates our day-to-day triumphs or failures. And it really could, you really could come from a place of victim or a victory, you know, when it comes to your story. So I think just people need to understand that everybody's going through something. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. Everybody's going through a struggle. Everybody's gone through a failure. So being able to get up and look at that and say, what was I supposed to learn? How can I grow from this and keep going, instead of saying, why me? Why am I here? And just staying in that place. And I think, you know, this is the kind of podcast where we could say, you know what, ask the right questions, ask quality questions. Don't get stuck in being a victim of your circumstances, and, you know, dare to rise above this, and it's going to be okay.
No, exactly. And I think it's all about asking not just the right questions to yourself, but to life generally, because when you ask the right questions, the right answers will show up. And I guess it all starts with having the courage to ask for what you want or what you want to see. And most of us don't do that.
No, I think we're afraid. We're so afraid of the outcome. And I think we're also afraid. Some people are afraid of success. Some people are afraid of failure. They don't know how to handle it. And I think being strong enough to say, I deserve this. I deserve this. I want this for myself. And it's okay to want things for yourself. You have to give yourself permission. And I think we're in a place also that I see that a lot of people are constantly in a place where they need that validation, that permission. You don't need anybody's validation. You don't need anybody's permission. You have to allow yourself to have that, to give that to yourself, to give that gift to yourself. And also to understand that your journey and your vision, not everyone is going to understand it. That's why, you know, that higher power, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, that's why it was given to you, for you to fulfill. And not everybody's going to be on the same page, and not everybody's going to support you with that.
No, exactly. And it seems like, I guess when people look at you now, they'll think like, oh, she's so confident and she's so charismatic. It's like, I guess you had those struggles yourself just to become the
Oh,
person that you are today. So if we peel the layers back to not the Rosie of today, but the Rosie that started maybe like 10, 15 years ago, like just
yeah.
paint the picture for those who are listening and watching.
You know, being divorced a couple times, having the struggles with love, validation, especially love. Love for me was a big one. Wanting to be in a relationship like my parents. I come from a Latino family. They've been married for over 40 years, a business together, you know, kids, never divorced. And in my culture, being divorced is like heavily criticized. So being divorced and then eating my fears and my emotions away and gaining weight, and then having kids and being alone, raising kids as a single mom, and then being criticized for having a dream and being way too heavy to be able to be to create my dream. So, 10 years ago, I found myself in a place where I would get sick because I would eat all my emotions away. I was gaining weight. I felt frustrated and unhappy. I was angry at times. I was sad. A lot of moments where I cried myself to sleep. And then I felt like a failure. And I think then that's something that I really don't talk a lot about. I felt like I failed at love, like I had failed my kids because I was divorced, like I failed my family and my culture because I didn't have what my parents had. I always compared to what everybody has, and that's one of the biggest mistakes, always comparing our journey to someone else's journey. That is one of the worst things that we could do. And that I really hurt myself with that. I think we are our own worst critics, our own worst judges. Our inner voice plays a huge light in our life or darkness in our life. And my inner voice was really strong, and I was not confident. And I was afraid of success. I was afraid of going after my dreams because I would tell, people that I cared about my dreams and they didn't believe in them. And as soon as they didn't believe in them, it's like, well, it makes sense. Why would I do that? Like, it's never going to happen. So I think having gone through all those things makes me come from a place of gratitude for all the hard work, because it's in our darkest moments where we're stretched and we learn. It's in our darkest moments when there's growth and we don't understand the pain of that pain. You have the pain of regret, or you have if you have the pain of not doing anything. One or the two. One is more costly than the other. And I just feel like staying in the same place for me was not only toxic, but I was very unhappy. So momentum equals happiness. Tony Robbins says that all the time. And I truly believe that as soon as I started to have a vision, be fearless with my vision, not listen to other people's opinions, and I started working towards the things that made me happy as an individual instead of trying to make everybody else happy, that's where I started coming into terms and finding who I was as a woman, as a human being, as a mom, as a businesswoman. And I discovered all these talents that I had that if I hadn't been brave to go after my dreams, I would have been stuck in the same place. And that happens to a lot of people. They're stuck for years and they say, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Well, you always have a choice to have a different choice. You can make a new decision and get out of that place. But it's going to take a lot of courage and action to be able to jump over and reach to something new and discover something new and discover yourself.
How did you end up in that place of being overweight and then, crying yourself to sleep and all that sort of stuff? Like, what was the journey leading up to you getting there?
Oh God, divorce, being cheated on. I think one of the worst feelings in the world is loving someone and seeking. And I was in a place that I wasn't confident in who I was and the value that I added to a relationship, that I became the woman that I needed to be for them in order to attain their love and validation. And that's not healthy. I am enough. Who I am, the right person's going to love me for who I am. And I don't have to trade off my integrity or my values or my happiness or my likes or my thoughts to be accepted and loved by another human being. And that was the biggest learning lesson, that I seeked validation so much and wanted love so badly that I gave up on myself. I stopped wearing makeup. I remember stopped having friends, stopped coming around my family. I was completely controlled. I was in an abusive relationship. Anything that I was told about my past, I got hit so hard with verbal abuse that when you're in that place, you start believing everything that they say. And when that becomes your truth, that's when it becomes scary. That's when everything goes down. And I remember that I traded off who I was for what I wanted. And anytime that you were sacrificing your peace of mind, your respect, your dignity, your values, your morals, your thoughts, that's a price that's way too high to pay to be in a relationship. The person that's in a relationship will love you for who you are and will help you build and become a better human being.
So if there's anyone listening right now that's going through that, like they're stuck in that sort of relationship, maybe not as bad, or maybe it is as bad, how do you get out of that? Because you've now come out of that, you've found your own identity, you've found your place in the world, and it seems that you've got a lot of momentum. But when you're in that deep and dark, scary place, like what's the first step? What did you do?
The first thing that I did is you are who you surround yourself with. I had to learn to say no. You get in life what you tolerate. Learning to step up and say no was the very first thing that I needed to do. It took a while to get to that place. It took a while to find the courage to say no. Step up and say no. Stand back. And sometimes it's not about fighting with words. It's not fighting physically. Sometimes it's stepping back and saying, okay, I'm scared because it's uncertain what tomorrow's going to happen. I'm so used to this lifestyle. I don't know what's going to happen. But be fearless in facing uncertainty, and then going out and reaching out to people that are doing the things that you love, that are in a place of peace, happiness, love, that are creating a place that is great and healthy for your well-being, and connecting with someone that could help you figure out your emotions and your feelings and why you're in that relationship. Because I think the why is so important. Why were we in that relationship? Because if not, the lesson will repeat itself until you learn. You'll find yourself in another relationship like I did, and the same kind of thing, verbal abuse or physical abuse or sexual abuse. And until you answer the why, then you'll be able to say, okay, I'm doing this again. I'm not going to go there. I've learned my lesson. I was doing this because I was seeking love and validation. I'm worthy. I'm more than worthy. I'm more than loved. I don't need another human being to validate me. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to stay by myself, and I'm going to learn what I need to do to take care of my mind, body, and soul. And I think when you start asking why, the revelation comes and you understand, okay, so this is what I need to work on me. You know, everybody looks outward for answers, and the answers are inward. And sometimes you have to find yourself on a journey by yourself. It's not about being lonely. It's about being alone in that journey to find those answers of why, where you're going, what you want. And it takes time. It takes time. So you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to do the work yourself, because nobody's going to deliver those answers for you. You have to be willing to search and go into those darkest parts where there's much light, there's much darkness. You have to go into the darkness and just look and search for those answers.
I love that, because it is all a mental game. Like you have to get yourself right up here before you can, because I was talking to someone yesterday and I was saying like your internal world is your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And once you get a hold of that and you start to ask for answers, you start to go searching deeper and deeper on your own journey, as you said, not alone or lonely, but it's just a space. That's what it is space. So you can actually figure out, who am I? Because up to that point, you're just like a chameleon. You're changing for every person. And then in the end of the day, when you put your head on the pillow at night, you're thinking, well, who am I? Like, what have I done to make me happy? I've given myself away. How do I bring
And I'm still not happy. And
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
still not happy. And you come back and you're like, okay, well, I've changed. And I'm in the same position and I'm still not happy. And happiness is really it's about finding yourself even in the ugliest moments, because we all have ugly moments. We have those dark moments that we don't want to face. But I think there's a lot of beauty in facing those dark moments and figuring out who you are and figuring out like, okay, I'm not a perfect person. I definitely have a lot of work to do on. I have to work on that. And you know what? I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. But it takes a lot of courage to look at the dark side. It really does. And that inner voice, gotta shift it. It really is an internal shift that I'm sitting here, and sometimes you're so nervous about a new opportunity or a new relationship that you want to put your best face forward, or on that first date, or with your kids or your business, and you want to be liked and loved by everybody. And that inner voice is going off. Don't do this. Don't act like that. Don't say this. And I think when you come to a place where you could say, I'm going to piss some people off by being who I am, and that's going to be okay. Some people are going to love me, and that's fantastic. When you can get to that place, then you're in a really good place, because not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to celebrate you, and that's okay. And I think when you can get to that authentic part of your life where you're saying, I'm not perfect, but I'm okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You're heading in the right direction. And that's the direction of growth and self-love.
Exactly. No, I love that. And what were you doing at this age? Like, did you start your career in business or in modeling already, or is that something that came later on?
No, the modeling came later on because I had gained so much weight. I was eating my emotions, hit 420 pounds. But my dream was I wanted to model, I wanted to do runway. And the closest that I could get was through makeup artistry. And, once I think once I got, one of my pictures went viral, got on a reality show. And once I think I started getting the real knocks of life that I didn't fit in one airplane seat, the criticisms, people could be so mean. People can be so mean and hurtful by the stares, by the words, by the comments. And I know that we're in a place where there's this huge plus size movement, and I respect all body types. But what I've learned through my journey is that I am where I am because I want to be, and I've changed my life, and I've lost weight, not because I want to be like everybody else, just because my happiness was in finding that I had the strength to change, to let go of the weight, to take care of myself. It wasn't about exterior beauty. It was about the inner beauty and strength of saying how I'm challenging myself to change. And that's the biggest challenge. And I got so much criticism from that. And when I started changing and taking care of myself, my inner mirror started reflecting my exterior mirror. And the people that walked in my life were completely different. There were people that they were about self-love, meditation, yoga. They were about empowerment. They were about support. They were about love. They weren't about criticism. They were about constructive criticism, because there's a difference. I'm giving you criticism, but constructive criticism is I'm going to offer you my thought and opinion with a solution. And I love that. I started seeing how my life started changing, and I started attracting opportunities into my life because I was becoming a different individual, not because of beauty, but because of strength and wisdom and empowerment, that I was empowering myself of saying, I'm worthy. I'm going to take care of myself. And self-care is the most important care that you have, because I can't give what I don't have.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that I like to say is, which I've heard many other people say, and it's only clicked to me recently, and I'm starting to tell this to people, is you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So it starts with self-care, self-love, looking inside and figuring out, who am I? Because once I change who I am and understand that I'm in alignment with what I want out of my life, then the rest of the resources, the people, the books, whatever it is, will start coming into my life. I don't know if that's what you found.
Yeah, ask for the teacher to appear, and the teacher will appear. I've learned that throughout my journey and my ups and downs. And it's a day-to-day. It's not like, okay, I've reached this level and then I stop. No, I think people need to understand that you reach certain levels of growth, but the growth doesn't stop there. We're forever students. As long as we're breathing, we have purpose, but we're forever students. We're always learning. And I've learned that it's daily work. It's daily self-work, whether it's meditation, whether it's making the choice to eat healthy because that's the nutrition that I need to keep living my purpose, whether it's exercising so I can let go of stress and make sure that I'm a place that I'm not emotionally reacting, and inspiring my kids through my lifestyle, because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for them as human beings, and they will become and mimic everything that I do. So, there's a lot of people watching, and the responsibility that comes with that is very huge, especially when it comes to the people that I love. So taking a look at that, it really has taught me that it's a journey, it's daily work, and that I have to be willing to seek and do the work again. And if you don't look, it's not going to show up. And if you don't ask, it's not going to come.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So what's a day, like, if you just take us back and show us a comparison, a day in the life of the 420-pound Rosie and a day in the life today of what you are?
God, day in the life, I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, get my kids breakfast, and then I would have to, like, every 20 to 30 minutes, I would have to sit down because 420 pounds, I'm bottom heavy. My knees and my lower back would hurt. And then after 30 minutes, I'd start profusely sweating. I would feel lethargic throughout the day. Didn't have that mental clarity, didn't have the energy because I wasn't eating the right food. I was running around as much as I thought I was running around, but it was just really hard to be able to, I could only be in certain types of cars. They had to be very big cars so I could fit in. Seatbelt did not fit me. If I took my kids to class, the kids would make fun of my kids because I was really big. My kids went through a lot of bullying just because of my size. I'd pick up my kids, sit down and do homework, but if they went outside to play, I would have to sit down on a bench and watch them and let the nanny, be able to take them out to play. And I couldn't run after my kids, let alone be on a bike. Work throughout the day, but always sitting down. There was just a sense of, I wanted to do so much more, but my body did not allow me to, if that makes sense. I was a prisoner of my own body. And you can want as much as you want, but if you don't take care of your body and your health and your mental health and your spiritual health and your physical health, it's going to hold you back. And it held me back for so many years. And I was very unhappy. And it wasn't about my appearance. And people get so confused with this message. It's not about an appearance. It's about just having the simple energies of life to do the things that sometimes people take for granted, like going for a walk and being able to breathe. I mean, I would walk for 20 minutes and I felt like I didn't have oxygen. Being able to stand up and stand up freely with movement, not like, hold on, my knees hurt, my lower back, and waddling side to side. And then not being able to play with my kids, something that's so simple that as a mom, not only is it my responsibility, but that's my connection with my kids. So those are big moments that for me impacted my life. And people got so confused that because I was in the modeling industry, because I was in the entertainment industry, I had sold out to Hollywood and all I wanted was to become a size 0. And people really took that to heart. And what I understood along the way is people judged me. I mean, they even told me to go kill myself. The fat activist came after me and told me to go kill myself. And what I learned, it was such a strong lesson that I have no power to make everybody else happy. I only have the power to make myself happy. And that not everybody's going to celebrate my victories. And there's going to be a lot of people celebrating my downfalls and failures. A lot of people like to celebrate those. But that's not a reflection of me. That is a reflection of who they are and where they are in their life. And you can't take that personally. And I learned to stop taking things personally and understand that I am my own world. I am my own reflection. And other people have stuff going on that I don't even know. So, the deepest and hardest scars that we have are the ones on our soul, not the physical ones, the ones on our heart and soul. And those are the deepest ones that we don't see and we don't understand where people are coming from. And sometimes people have triggers by seeing someone else be successful, someone else doing and chasing their life, that sometimes they want it deep down. They just don't know how to go after it. And what they do is, instead of react positively, they start attacking. And I understand that it was such a strong message. So now the day now is I'm up, I'm living my best life. I'm up at, 4:30 in the morning, do my 20-minute meditation, do prayer with my business partner, every single day. And then from there, gym, I have my trainer that goes to the house. I work out from 5 to 6. My kids work out from 6 to 6:30, make breakfast, get the kids ready, get ready, drop them off at school, off to conference calls, meetings. I travel every week to LA for Face the Truth for filming. I'm constantly hustling, working on new opportunities, working on my book on a daily, traveling for modeling, for guest speaking events. And I think the biggest, most beautiful thing in my life is that I'm grateful for the lessons and the failures that I had. And a lot of people aren't grateful for their failures, but I'm very grateful for my failures, because being a lifestyle coach, being on Face the Truth, it allows me to give transformational takeaways and understand where that person is at their point in their life. If they've lost someone that they've loved, if they've gotten cheated on, they're a single mom, if they've gotten bullied, if they've gotten their heart broken, if they've gotten lied to, if they've felt that, they failed at something, I'm able to meet them there because I am them. I've been there. And to understand that instead of judge it, and help them, be someone that could hold their hand along the way and say, I've been there. It's going to be okay. Just have faith. Do the work. Don't look at the present. The revelation is going to come later. I promise you. You'll look back and you'll say, that was painful, but wow, did I grow? Did I grow? Did I become a better human being because of that? Did I learn my lesson? And it's clearer than ever. The lesson will keep repeating itself until you learn.
And I guess that's why you're so grateful for for going through what you did, because now looking back, it all makes sense that all those stories and memories can now help other people, not just on the show, but outside the show as well. And then it's like you wouldn't be able to help because you wouldn't have had the wisdom. So you had to have gone through your own journey and have the courage to change. Because again, I was saying this to someone else, is that the journey is not about you. Like sometimes you think, oh, I'm overweight and I can't be bothered. Well, you should be bothered, because then you're going to inspire someone else who's on the verge of killing themselves. And they'll think, oh, Rosie did it, so maybe I can do it, you know?
You know, you just touched on that subject, and it's, you don't know what people are going through. And you never know when you're going to be this ray of light to someone who's about to give up on their own life. You never know. You never know when you're that hand that reaches out to give them a hug, that hand that reaches out to pull them back into life and say, you know what, I'm here with you. You're not alone. And sometimes people just need a little bit of encouragement and faith in their life. And, you know, this journey is not about me. It really isn't. But I could tell you is, for the people that are listening, I know that there's dark places that you don't want to go. And I know that there's dark places that we've all been through, because we all have a story. And I think it's very brave and courageous to be able to say authentically, I'm not proud of all the moments in my life, but I have learned from them. This is my story. How can I help you?
Exactly.
And I think that's my purpose, is how can I help you? How can I be a servant? How could I be of service? How could I be a little bit of light or a little bit of faith in your life? Show you that it's going to be okay. You know, what can I do for you? And if this society was more of what can I do for you instead of what you can do for me, we'd be in a different place in this world, and we'd see a lot happier people and more fulfilled people.
I think because everyone would be coming from their place of gift, like they'll be helping you in their own unique way, which no one else can help you with. But like so many people die having not given that gift. And so it's a darker world than it could be.
Yeah, I mean, there's graveyards, graves upon graves upon graves of brilliant people, scientists, lawyers, you know, love that was never forgiven, love that was never chased, love that, you know, wasn't celebrated, successes, ideas, opportunities, dreams that have died there, that they just didn't have the bravery to go after because they were afraid of judgment. They were afraid of criticism. They were afraid of success or failure. And it just died there. And we've missed out on so many beautiful blessings and opportunities of things that we haven't thought of or even seen.
Exactly. No. So how did you get involved with Face the Truth? Because I know a lot of the people that are going through issues in their life, you're obviously helping them out, and it's been going for a couple of months now. So how are you finding that, and how did you get involved with it?
Oh my God, you know, Face the Truth is so amazing. I love the cast. Vivica Fox is the host. We have Areva Martin, we Dr. Judy Ho, who's a psychologist, and of course my favorite, Judge Scary Mary, and I'm the lifestyle coach on there. And you know what, my story had gone viral, my weight loss. I had different interviews throughout the US and internationally, and I ended up getting invited to The Doctors, which is produced by Dr. Phil. Got on stage, talked to them, we had a blast. Of course, as I always do, knock on doors. If there's anything I could ever help you, if there's anybody that I could do, you know, to create an impact, please call me, let me know. And as I left that door open, the opportunity of coming back to co-host with The Doctors started growing and growing, and got to work with them on a season. And then Dr. Phil invited me to do a special story as a special correspondent, and the relationship just grew. And from there, I got invited to be part of the cast, which I'm very grateful. It has been a lot of work, a lot of knocking on doors, and I got invited to be part of the show. And now I'm working there, and there's a lot of great stories, and there's a lot of sad stories. And I think every day as a co-host and as a human being, I'm constantly evolving and learning from this. And you can see clearly when someone's heading straight in the direction of failure and they just don't want to wake up. And life offers you so many wake-up calls, but it's your choice to be able to pay attention to those wake-up calls.
There's so many different people that come on as well with different stories. Do you always know what you're going to say? Like, is it pre-prepared, or do you have to just like there and then just give them the best advice?
Well, you know what? We get so many stories, and through discovery of the stories, of asking questions, and as a team with our own specialties, you're asking all these questions and you're pulling new information. So you're constantly in discovery, and nothing is prepared. It really is from a place, you know, before I go to stage, I always pray, you know, Lord, give me wisdom, flow through me, and allow me to be present and listen, to be able to give the proper feedback, and it'll come from a place of compassion and not judgment. So it definitely is wisdom flowing through me. And I got to give that, that it's a lot of, and constantly educating myself, listening to great podcasts, listening to great thought leaders, reading books, and constantly educating myself that allows me to be able to give the feedback that I do from a place of authenticity and a place of love and compassion. And sometimes it's hard love. It's not always like butterflies and hearts. Sometimes you got to give that wake up call of saying, hey, wake up. If you don't wake up, life is going to end. That is the reality. And to be that person, to be able to offer that wake up, sometimes you get uncomfortable, but we must be honest, and we're there to serve. And we want their success. The people that go on the show is our success. We're cheering them on. We're giving them that hard love because we want them to grow, to wake up and change their life.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that, I guess, because you're in a position of authority when you're on that show. They're looking to you for an answer. And so it's down to you to say, right, shall I leave them where they are and just give them some sweet words, or do I need to actually wake them up? Because when they leave, ultimately, I guess, it's your responsibility to help them change direction.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're changing direction and we're talking to the podcast.
Hey, guys.
Hey, you guys. Sorry, I'm always
having an absolute blast.
Great conversation. You guys are not going to want to miss this. I had to just blast it. I love the conversation. Great energy. You guys stay tuned. There's a lot of responsibility when giving someone. You have to think twice before you speak. Think 3 times before you act, because as a mom and as a woman, I could see these stories that I resonate with, that I'm like, oh, I know where you're at and I know what you're feeling. And there's moments that I get really emotional because it takes me back where I was in a dark place. And you want to see their growth, but sometimes there's just so much pain there. And they're not listening to they're not receptive to because they're just so covered in pain. And there's a lot of responsibility, but you know what? There's very few shows where we don't get that breakthrough. There's very, very few of them. And I would say that the shows that we don't get that breakthrough right away would be the ones that they're masking themselves in alcoholism or drug addiction, and that they need really intense therapy and detox, and transformation in that. And there's other ones where you just see them, break down and cry and kind of have their aha moment on stage. And you're like, yes, they got the message. And we offer them, therapy and, coaching and everything that they need. So they're not just leaving where, okay, we got a story and there's no resolution. No, there's a resolution to each of the story, but it's for them to do the work and follow through to change their life. And I just feel like Face the Truth is one of those platforms where they get an opportunity for a new, fresh start, for a new life with proper help and direction.
Yeah. What have you found have been one of the most memorable stories so far?
Oh my God. One of the most memorable stories, I'm going to say, I connected with a lady there. She was Filipino with her daughter. Her daughter wrote in. Her husband was an alcoholic, had cheated on her so many years. She was tired. She had accepted a lot of physical abuse, a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of cheating from her husband. And when I saw that, I broke out in tears because I remember my daughter telling me, like, Mom, why do you accept that? Why do you tolerate those kind of things? And when I saw her daughter just crying and didn't want her mom to go through that anymore, that for me it was really life-changing to say, I commend you for being such a strong young lady and fighting for your mom, because sometimes as moms, our kids are our light. They are our God-given light. And sometimes we don't understand why we have kids, but they're our God-given light, that their wake-up call, that they fight for us. And it's kind of like her daughter was fighting for her. And to see that her husband fell to the ground and said, I'm wrong. I've made a mistake. I need help. Just to say I need help takes a lot of vulnerability and courage to do it in front of an audience and to accept the mistakes and the damage that you've created in other people's lives. And to see that moment, that it was her daughter's courage that brought the healing to her father, but also the strength to her mother, was something that I'm never going to forget, because I remember being in that situation and standing up and being able to say no and walking away from someone that hurt me so many times. And my daughter helping me fight through that, and knowing that I wasn't alone, and that I had to think about what kind of relationship was I going to accept that would teach my daughter what she should accept in a relationship and what she should accept in love. And what I had to tolerate and accepted was not acceptable. I would never want to see my daughter in that position. So it gave me a strength to wake up, and I was able to resonate and relate to that moment and really say, wow, our work here is not only a blessing, but it is a moment of growth, and we get to see transformation and families healed. And that's fulfillment right there.
It no, definitely is, because you see that on their faces as well when they're actually getting the help they need, and they see the family members or friends, whoever is on the show with them, and they're realizing what they've been trying to tell them. Like the message is actually going through now, and they're understanding rather than ignoring it, which is probably what they were doing leading up to the show. And now they're in front of an audience like, wow, okay, maybe we can make a change, and then everyone just walks away happier. So I guess that is really fulfilling work for when you do actually get through to them.
Your test is your testimony, and your mess is your message. And if people just really understood and embrace that, it would be so empowering for them to be able to look at those scars, those hidden scars, and saying, I have had a messy life, but this is my message to you. And to be able to share that message. And I think that's the platform that Face the Truth provides me, is sharing my personal message, my personal strengths, my personal failures, and being able to share it from a vulnerable place of saying, this is what I went through, this is how I felt, and this is what I did to get out of it. And you will survive. You will be okay. You will be a much better human being from it. Don't be ashamed of your past. Let your past empower you. And don't look at your past. Be a visionary of your future.
I love that. Let me ask you this before we wrap up with the final few questions. How has your relationship with your kids changed since the days they were bullied and they saw their mom overweight? Now they've seen you like become superwoman. Like, how has that impacted the way they go about their lives?
Well, the way that it goes is that they're confident. They love themselves. They understand the importance of taking care of themselves. They go and they're like, I want to eat ice cream. It's something as simple as that. You know what, Mom? I'm gonna get something else because that's not the best decision for me. Or saying, friends don't. My daughter was a friend that was being kind of mean to her, and she stood up and said, you know what? I don't understand where you're at in your life, but I'm not going to tolerate this. Being able to say no to friends that you thought were friends and being able to walk away from those relationships, there's a lot of strength in that, because not everybody's here to serve you. And as lonely as you might feel, just because there's someone there, they don't treat you right, doesn't mean that you have to tolerate it. Love, being able to give them love and being in a place of happiness resonates a lot, because when I was depressed, there was no love to give. I didn't have love for myself. Nonetheless, to be able to share, a love, a showing of affection, to be able to hug my kids and really for them to feel that warm embrace, because I wasn't even warm with myself. I wasn't loving myself. I was in such a dark place. And also the strength of failure, that my kids have seen me fall down on my face in the darkest moments, but they've also gained strength of saying, okay, my son got a bad grade, and he looks at it, okay, so what do I have? So Mom, I got a D. I go, okay, well, how does that make you feel? Well, I don't like it. Okay, so if you don't like it, what do you have to do to change? Being able at a young age to break it down for them. Okay, if you don't like it, you can change it. That's not the end of the world. It's not definitive. You don't like it. What action steps do you have to change? So as I'm action oriented, my kids are becoming action oriented, and they're not defined by their failures. They're defined by their actions.
Yeah.
We're born, with a resemblance to our parents, looking like our parents, but we die our looks change when we die based off of our choices. And I think people don't pay attention to that. You are not your past, you are your choices. And when my kids can learn that as they're learning that, that's going to give them so much strength for the day that I'm not here. I want to leave a generational legacy of not only love and respect, but authenticity, where they embrace their failures and their successes. They understand who they are, and they're servants. They have a heart full of compassion and service for others. And if I can impact my kids with that, then they can impact, millions of other people. And that is my responsibility. It starts at home. It's not just doing it out in public. And it starts with me personally. So it's a domino effect.
I love that. Yeah, because it goes back to what you were saying actually about choices, that you have the freedom to make choices when you woke up and you realized, being that weight that you were, that actually, no, I can make the choice to either eat this ice cream or to eat a salad. I can make, and those small choices over time build momentum. And then that's where your happiness comes from long term. So
365 days a year. Just imagine that daily choice of taking care of your body, mind, and soul, how much of a different human being you'll be by the end of the year. Trust me, those little decisions make a huge impact.
Definitely. So let me get into the final few questions then. So with everything you know now, the journey you've been on, is there anything different you tell the 18-year-old Rosie?
Breathe. You're not going to die without that man that didn't love you at that heartbreak. Life goes on. It's okay to take care of yourself. Not everybody's going to like you, and you're going to be okay. The most important is that you got to love yourself. Love yourself. Be fearless. If you fall on your face, you'll learn something. Be okay with failure. There's nothing wrong with failure. Failure is a beautiful thing. It's just the way that you look at it. If I would have told myself that when I was 18, life would have been different. I wouldn't have taken everything personally. I wouldn't have been in the relationships that I, was in. And it would have definitely changed my life. I don't regret where I'm at because it's given me it made me become the woman that I am. And being okay with saying no. I was the yes person. I'd say yes to everything, even if I didn't like it, even if it hurt me. Being okay saying no and choosing something different. Be okay with saying no. And that's something I would tell my 18-year-old self.
I love that. Yeah. So for those who are listening right now, it just comes back to the choices that you make. You can either give your energy away or keep it to yourself and realize that until you have the oxygen you need, you can't give it to others. Like you need to take care of yourself first. So now the second question is, if there was one statement that you could write, it could be anything, and it goes into a time capsule for generations from now to read, what would that one statement be?
Oh God, that's an incredible question. That question would be, have faith, embrace your authenticity, and be courageous to show your most vulnerable scars that you've taken onto your heart and your soul. Share them with the world, because as you share them, you're going to heal and you're going to help others heal.
I love it. Last one. I think you've covered this already, but I'm excited to hear what you'd have to say on this one. Is you come to the end of your life now, whatever age that might be, you've lived a long and healthy life. What's the legacy you want to leave behind?
God, it's about embracing authenticity. I think authenticity is the one thing that's missing in this world, authenticity and compassion. If I could leave something behind for my kids to take over, is for them to be their authentic selves, but with compassion, with lots of compassion and love. Every human being that passes in their life, that they're able to touch and leave a sense of love and respect. And that every room that they walk into, that they leave those people feeling much better than when they leave. And creating impact through faith, through inspiration, and through connection.
And you're definitely on your way to doing that with everything that you've done up to this point. You're definitely doing that. And this is what I was saying. Like I say this pretty much every episode. It's all about leaving the world a better place than when you found it. Because otherwise, what's the point of you being here? You're wasting space. So the time that you're here, it needs to be time for you to figure out, what is it I've been brought here to do? What is the gift? And then give it to the world. And that becomes a well-used life, at least in my opinion, because then you feel You're fulfilling a purpose every day,
And I think that's what a lot of people need to go that's why they have to go inward and look for that purpose. What's your purpose and how can you create impact and give it away? And you'll find out that as more you give your gift away, as more as you create impact, as more as you share love, as more as you share your thoughts, your vulnerability, your stories, your connection, as much as you give that, there's just something that comes right back. And that's a sense of happiness and inner peace. There's just a sense of, you're not going around in life feeling like empty or there's something missing. You feel whole. And that's part of our purpose as we get older and older. And you're not defined by your job. You're not defined by your circumstances. You're defined by your choices and your daily acts. So having a place of strong values and understanding what your values and always operating out of those values it will give you successes, or they'll give you failure. So having strong values is always important. My number one value is love.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Where can people find you, follow your journey, all that good stuff?
They can follow me at rosiemercado.com. And then, of course, want to invite them to watch Face the Truth on CBS. They could look at facethetruth.tv.com. And then you could always find me on social media for some inspiration and for some life-changing moments and, some laughs as well, at Rosie Mercado on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and everywhere else.
Awesome. Well, no, thank you so much for doing this.
No, my God, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know what? I wish you continued success as you do all these interviews. May, God keep opening those doors for you. May you connect with wonderful thought leaders and just bring this information that's much needed to the people that are listening. And I just hope that together we could keep creating impact.